Well, Shams has done it again. Per Shams Charania, NBA teams are probing the availability of two-time All-Star Zach Lavine, and there is increased openness from both sides on getting a deal possibly done. What does that mean for this Bulls team in the long run, and what will that mean for a possible trade for Zach Lavine? We'll talk about all that and more. Today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talking Bulls, how Bulls fans talk, so make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Listen, we knew this day might come. We knew that this day could be here. I didn't expect this day to be 10 games into the season, though. But per Shams Charania of The Athletic, teams are approaching Zach Lavine, or the Chicago Bulls, about the availability of Zach Lavine and what that could mean for a potential trade moving forward. I mean, listen, I think everybody knows that Zach Lavine is a solid player, is a good player. And just it hasn't worked out here. He's been somebody who's been an elite scorer in the NBA over the last couple of years, been a two-time All-Star. And you know what? Like, the Bulls were holding out this hope that he was going to take that step, that next level of ascension that we've seen other young players around the league take. And it just hasn't happened. And to start this season, I think that it has been somewhat a similar story of what we saw last year, a very up and down play. He'll give you 50 one night, he'll give you 15 the next right now. And I think that would work itself out as the season goes on. We've seen these types of things happen before, but you have to sell while the selling is going to be at its best. And if you feel like right now Zach Lavine is a piece that could be moved at a high capital, I can't begrudge AK for at least listening and being open to it. And I think the difference here is that we've always heard that Zach Lavine was in on sticking around with Chicago. He's always said that he loved Chicago. He didn't take any stock in any of the reports that he was going to be traded back to the Lakers or any of that stuff. Even Casey Johnson talked about it, right? Talked about regarding Lavine over the offseason. They held an exploratory talks on him, and their asking price has always been very, very high for Zach Lavine, basically saying, we're not giving up Zach Lavine for nothing. We have a high belief in him. But the new development that has been confirmed is that both sides, even though Zach has been extremely loyal to the Bulls, both sides are open to moving on here. And I think that's the biggest difference when you look at this team. When you talk about what Zach Lavine has been here, it's been a very up and down story, but you've seen a young man be able to come back from an ACL injury and fight through the grit and grime of whatever the season brought to him and be able to go out there and produce. Now, has it worked to the level that you've hoped that it will? No. And I think that means that, right, it feels like Zach Lavine's more of a two, and there's a lot of things that you would love to see Zach Lavine have accomplished here as the number one option that you never feel like he got that full opportunity to do, because then DeMar comes in now. Right now, it's DeMar's doing what he's doing and Zach taking more of a back seat. But a lot of people pointed to that as the reason why Zach Lavine shouldn't have been paid what he was paid and why he shouldn't have been one of those top players. I don't know if I follow down that path of thinking, but what I will say is this: at this point right now, where the Chicago Bulls are at, you're not going to any NBA finals. It feels like this team doesn't want to play for the head coach that you have in place right now. I said that last night over on Locked On Bulls, that it just felt like Zach Lavine was kind of done here. He felt like he was just chucking up shots. He wasn't actually trying to get to his spot and get the job done. I look at now how the season has started, and I thought that this day was going to be here sooner than later. I didn't think this soon, though. So let me know how you guys feel about the possibility that Zach Lavine could be traded here very soon. This team could be looking very different before the trade deadline gets here. And do you like the fact that the Bulls are going to move on from Zach? What do you want to see them get back here? I think here's the part that I always say, right? And I want every Bulls fan that's going to be excited under here and happy to see him go and all of this. When Zach Lavine goes to another team, and now he's probably not the first option there, but he's going to be playing with somebody who's going to be able to probably accentuate what he does, and he starts playing well, Do not cry. Do not complain. Do not whine about it. Do not sit there and, oh, but wait, he didn't do that here, and this is the no. He did stuff here. He did stuff. Yeah, that's not what y'all wanted him to be here, right? Like y'all were hoping that he was Michael Jordan, the next godsend. And I'll agree with a lot of the flaws that Zach Lavine does have. My guy, the boy can't dribble. I don't know what to say. He can't dribble. Multiple off seasons working on it. He can't dribble. Like it's very bad. But as far as a score, when we're talking about a scorer that we need, when we're talking about somebody who can go up and give you a ton of offense, Zach Lavine has been that to the Chicago Bulls. And, you know, I think he'll continue to be that on somebody else's team. Now, what I will say is this. I do like the fact that if the Bulls are going this direction, more than likely, it means DeMar DeRozan is also out the door as well. What that's going to do for the young players on the team is force them to not have anybody to rely on but yourselves. The Ayo Dosunmus, the Patrick Williams, the Kobe Whites. You've got nobody to rely on but you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to step up? And now I'm looking at the player development staff. Now I'm looking heavily at Billy Donovan. I've been looking at Billy Donovan the whole time. Y'all know on this channel, listen. I was not excited about the hire of Billy Donovan. I have been somebody who has said that, you know, the players have to play as well. Billy Donovan can draw up all of the plays he wants. If guys don't knock down shots, it doesn't matter what Billy Donovan draws up. But I am looking at the development that we're going to see on the court from these young players now, because that is the next iteration. If you go down this path, you don't hold on to DeMar for the rest of the season. You don't hold on. You start the process of, hey, look, it's your team now. What are you going to do? What I think the Bulls can get back for Zach Lavine. I mean, I think you're still in first round pick talks because I do think there'll be a bidding for Zach. I think a lot of teams want him. We reached out to the Locked On Bulls or Locked On NBA chat that we're all in, all the Locked On NBA channel teams and stuff like that. And I said, send trades that you want. Kuka Hills had one ready to go right there, talking about a trade possibly up to Detroit, which would be interesting. And I'm not going to lie to you, probably the best case scenario for the Bulls, because you send them to Detroit, but I feel like that's a team that's still very far away, so I'm okay with that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And you get some solid bench pieces back in that trade. I like a lot of the young pieces they got up there. But I think that the Bulls are going to get some solid young pieces back and possibly some draft capital. You can't scoff at that. You can't turn your head at that, and you have to be somebody who's willing to go down that path. I think AK is willing to go down that path and start to build this thing with the young guys that you have. But you have to do that. The number one thing that I have an issue with on this Bulls team right now is not the fact that Zach Lavine is not playing up to snuff. I've seen him start the season slow and get it right. Not the fact that DeMar DeRozan hasn't been the same DeMar DeRozan. He's 34 years old, and I've seen him start the season slow and start to get it right. My issue is that we still haven't seen development from any of these young pieces, and for the love of God, I haven't seen Julian Phillips on the floor one time. What'd you draft him for? Haven't seen Dalen Terry, the 18th overall pick. 18th overall picks play. It's not like this is a shock that Dalen Terry should be out there playing. Like, Dalen Terry should have enough talent to play. I haven't seen any of the pieces that AK has drafted really show me anything. That's a problem. I love what we're seeing from Ayo Dosunmu to start this season, but Ayo Dosunmu has been a very, very up and down player. Was a very up and down player last year, right? He'd give you that moment, that game, and then all of a sudden, right, you keep going forward, and it's just like, hey, man, kind of fell off a little bit there. What's going on here? Now we're getting cooked defensively. Ayo looks like the Ayo that he once was and that we all fell in love with to start this season. Let's see him continue to do that. But my issue is that the young pieces you're putting in places aren't developing. Is that because there's guys ahead of them taking shots, or is that because there are, right, those pieces just aren't in a good position to develop? And now we're going to get the opportunity to see that whenever they do end up finally moving on from Zach Lavine. If they end up moving on from Zach Lavine, again, they don't have to. It's just the rumor that both sides are open to it. If that does end up being the case, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bulls bring in more role player pieces and try to hold out for more draft capital so that so that you can see what young pieces you have developing here. And Kobe White has started off the season pretty well. Let's see if that continues as well. But hey, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bulls content. Click the links on the screen. Check the links in the description below. We do a Chicago Bulls live call every single game, so tune in with us on that as well. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation. Here we go. Peace.